In the Weather Center right now, we have our chief, Mike Iskovitz, along with Allison Gargaro. It's going to be a rough 12 to 16 hours here, guys. Here we go.
Oh my gosh. Well, look, everybody I think needs to understand, we were just talking about this, that the forecast now for inland winds is looking very, very concerning.
Yes, it's bumped up significantly. So this did become a hurricane just a few hours ago, but the thing is those winds are going to stay true even inland. Usually we talk about when it moves over land, it weakens a bit, and it will, just not right away.
Yeah, and it's likely also to keep strengthening right up to landfall, which is the last thing you want to see, right? So it's been bumping up. You know, yesterday the winds were 60. Now the latest advisory, I think, has them at 80 miles an hour, but probably getting stronger.
Yeah, I mean, some wind gusts could be up to about 90 potentially.
You said you just saw an observation from Matagorda Bay.
Yes, at 75 miles per hour. And this thing hasn't even made landfall yet. So those are the outer rain bands that we've been talking about that you can see here starting to move into the southern portion of the viewing area.
So what we're going to do is I've got information on some winds that could be coming in. Allison's going to share a ton of stuff with you too. Team coverage all morning long. We got a long, long way to go.
Yes.
For the next 12 to 15 hours.
And just a friendly reminder, you have power now, but if you don't, you know, let's say some power lines are down in your neighborhood, go to your app, and that's where you can watch us live to keep that coverage going.
Yeah, because you're not going to have Wi-Fi either, but you'll be able to access the app through the cell phone signal, hopefully. And try not to open the refrigerator as much as possible. You know, try to do that. Be extremely careful with generators later on today because we always have carbon monoxide poisoning. So anyway, let's get to it. And I will show you what's happening over here. The very latest as of the 2 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center has Hurricane Beryl as a Category 1 hurricane. Now remember, Category 1 starts technically at 74. Basically 75 miles an hour. Right now, the maximum sustained winds are estimated to be at 80 miles per hour, but it is getting stronger. The next update that comes out at 4 a.m. will probably have the winds up to 85, God forbid, maybe 90, and that doesn't include wind gusts. And it also doesn't take into account that the wind field, like how big the storm is, it's getting bigger. And I'll show you that with a graphic here in a minute. It has made that big time turn to the north-northwest right now at 10 miles per hour, which means more of an impact on Houston. So as we head toward later on this morning and into the afternoon, we're going to basically see the eye, or the center of circulation, move. It could potentially be like right over Katy, could be right over Sugar Land, you know, places where it starts to get, you know, very concerning as far as high winds, highly populated areas, trees, power lines, all of that stuff. I want to show you, so this is the latest 2 a.m. update of the current observations we have as far as wind speeds, sustained wind speeds, and wind gusts. So as you get closer to the circulation here, Bay City right now has a sustained wind at 33 miles per hour with a recent gust to 49 miles per hour. So not quite getting the sustained tropical storm force yet, but getting pretty close to that. Galveston already seeing wind gusts to 45 miles per hour. So it's along the coastal areas and Surfside Beach, Freeport, Sargent. You guys are going to start getting those 40, 50, 55 mile an hour wind gusts through the remainder of the 2 o'clock hour. It is getting windy in Houston too. Hobby Airport, for example, getting in on a recent wind gust from the east at 36 miles per hour. It's going to take longer for the wind obviously to reach places like College Station and Huntsville, but it will. And coming up by around midday today, we could see very high winds as far north as the Woodlands and Montgomery and back over to Navasota and those spots. This is what Beryl looks like on satellite imagery, and it does seem to be strengthening a little bit. So we're seeing these brighter red colors there forming near the coastline, which indicates taller clouds, heavier rain, the potential for the storm to keep getting a little bit stronger before landfall. All right, it's a little bit easier to see here on the radar imagery. And here we go. So you could see this, and by the way, it is wobbling. We could see the center of circulation sort of loosely defined there. It's probably going to end up making landfall within the next 2 hours near Palacios. So Palacios is located right there or over around Matagorda. So it's basically moving north-northwest right now. The landfall is going to be in an area where we end up on this wet side, that so-called dirty side of the circulation. So if the eye ends up moving here through Matagorda County, makes its way up through Wharton County, then Brazoria and Galveston and Harris County and all of these spots, we are going to get inundated with flooding rains, with wind that's probably going to knock the power out, might even be strong enough to knock some trees down and so forth. Here's a closer up view with our local radar. Higher resolution here, and you could see that circulation right there. So the center, if you consider that the center roughly, then it's probably just about another hour, maybe 90 minutes at most, away from making landfall. Rain band after rain band is going to keep coming into the area here for several hours. We already have really heavy rain. In fact, Allison in a moment is going to detail for you some flooding that's taking place down here in southern parts of Brazoria County. But if you're down there from Angleton and Lake Jackson all the way down to the Brazosport complex, you shouldn't be on the roads anyway, right? But if you were to be, keep in mind flooding is taking place, and so don't. Don't, if at all possible. Not seeing a ton of lightning with this just yet. That's not uncommon with tropical systems coming down. It's mainly just the threat for extremely heavy rain. And yes, as if we don't have enough to worry about, sometimes you can have some small embedded tornadoes. So we're going to have to watch out for that as we head toward maybe 6, 7, 8 o'clock this morning. There's a look at that flash flood warning. It does include Bay City, Lake Jackson, Freeport, Surfside Beach, Quintana Beach, Sargent, and all of those spots. And that's in effect until 4:45. That's long-lived, right? And it's because we've already had heavy rainfall, and there's a lot more rain that's getting ready to move into that area. So here's the forecast from the National Hurricane Center, and I have plotted here the position of the storm, the expected category of the storm, and then the timing. So it's likely to make landfall here as a strong Category 1, and which, by the way, takes us through 94 miles an hour. So that'll be a very strong one. And the initial impact of the highest winds will be Matagorda and Brazoria County. But from there, by 7 a.m. this morning, I mean, this is something you don't think about very often. We could actually have a Category 1 hurricane in Fort Bend County by around 7 o'clock this morning. So there's a look at that. I mean, a potential, remember, this is a broad area, but the center of circulation could be over places like Needville, Damon, even moving right over Rosenberg and Richmond. But on this side, that's where you're going to get just the torrential downpours. Brazoria County, Galveston County, and the city of Houston in Harris County. By the afternoon, it starts to move off toward the north. This is the approximate position by 7 p.m. and then by 7 a.m. tomorrow. So I want to show you this as rough as today is going to be. I don't want you to think this is going to be Hurricane Harvey, because we're not going to have, remember, that was like 4 days of just like an onslaught, right? This is not going to be that. So we're going to be dealing with it today, and then I'm not going to say it's going to be beautiful tomorrow, but there's a good chance it's going to get a whole lot better. All right, this is probably the most important graphic I'm going to show you, and that is the futurecast wind gusts. So this pretty much is what we're seeing right now. So wind gusts across Houston, about 30. It's going to become closer to 40 for Sugarland and Pearland. Now look at this. As we look ahead, at about 5:30 this morning, we may start to see wind gusts of 61 for Pearland. These are approximate now, okay? Maybe almost 80 in Freeport, maybe about 65 or so in the Sugarland area. I mean, that's when the power is going to get knocked out, could start to get some trees knocked down. Don't venture out, just hunker down in place in your home. As we head toward 10 o'clock this morning, that center of circulation may be over here in Waller County. It may even be in Harris County. And that's the point when we're going to have our opportunity for very high winds in Montgomery County. And then beyond that, makes its way up past Huntsville. I mean, look at this. By 2 in the afternoon, there's a chance, and like I said, this is a computer model. It's not necessarily going to be 100% on the money, but it gives us a good idea of potential. 64 miles an hour up in Huntsville, 53 in Cleveland, and still really windy in Houston, although we're maybe starting the cleanup down there around Bay City. And then beyond that, by this evening, we should see improving conditions, and thank goodness, right? But it is going to be just incredibly rough between now and then, especially between around 4 a.m. and 2 p.m. or so. So landfall overnight, I mean, look, this depends on, I don't know if this is the nighttime for you. For us, it's the morning, but basically overnight, which is what's happening right now, the landfall is going to take place. A very serious storm surge. So if you didn't evacuate, and it was a voluntary evacuation, be advised that that water level, Surfside Beach, the water level, Jamaica Beach, Crystal Beach, down around Sargent and all those areas, that water level is still going to keep rising 3, 4, 5 feet above where it normally is, maybe 6 feet above where it normally is. Very dangerous situation there, so don't venture out in that, obviously. There's a hurricane warning that is in place along the coastline and for inland areas that are going to be near that eye. The entire area is under a tropical storm warning. So tropical storm force winds, which are 40 to 74 miles an hour, could be expected across, basically, it doesn't matter where you're watching us right now. We're also, by the way, under a tornado watch because, like I mentioned, you get tornadoes sometimes with landfalling tropical cyclones. Expect power outages, expect some wind damage. All right, this is what I wanted to show you, the projected wind field. So this is going to tell us where we could possibly see tropical storm force winds, and we're already actually starting to see that around Galveston Island, at least in terms of gusts. This is the extent of the 58 mile per hour winds, so basically 60. And then if we see red popping up, that's going to be potential hurricane force. And this is crazy. Boy, I hope this is wrong. But we may actually see some hurricane force winds as far north as Conroe, which would be very rare. It really is pretty rare. Okay, tropical satellite, another view of how things are developing. These brighter colors that you're going to see down here in Matagorda, that's where we're going to have the heaviest of the rain coming down right now. And the hurricane hunters have been investigating the system. They have recently flown through it. Now the Hurricane Center is going to take that data and use it to update their 4 a.m. advisory. So big deal. I will be back with you here coming up in a few minutes as I gather more information.